Good day once again, everybody. My name is Michael Boyu, founder of MB Consult. How are we doing today? Can you hear me? Can I get a thumbs up if you can hear me? And can you see my screen? That's good. Thanks so much, John. Thank you. So, what are we doing here today? So, the topic before us today is the changing landscape of work. And the rationale behind this is, I look into the marketplace. And when I say marketplace, some people will say workplace. And you begin to ask yourself, how has the world changed within the last 5 years or thereabouts? And it looks like, when we look back at COVID-19, the pandemic, as it were, it has since edged a line in history that nobody, I don't think anyone is going to forget. It's like okay, I mean, permit me to go a bit religious here, that even in the calendar we'll say before Christ and after Christ, like BC and AD, right, in Latin. It seems like now in modern times everything is, did it happen before COVID or after COVID? COVID has since become a mark in history that has come to define the way we look back at things, or the way we examine things, or the perspective we have on things. So what is that landscape of work, and how has it changed, within the last couple of years that, we know of? And that's what I wanted us to kind of just discuss here today and see whether we can learn one or two things from. Hi, Precious. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, sir. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good
Thank you
afternoon.
for
Good
having
to
me.
see you here. So,
Good to be here.
yeah, so I want to quickly urge, and I will come back to this. I want to believe everybody on this call would have joined our social communities online. Like I said, I believe so. However, if you haven't, this is a very good opportunity. I urge you to join, to follow us on LinkedIn, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and feel free to go on there to watch any of our videos. All the sessions we have on a weekly basis, they are on there. In case you miss any of the sessions, you can actually, catch up over there. And so I'm just putting this out there for another minute, so that if there's anyone that, if you've not joined the online community, if you've not subscribed to the YouTube channel, are you following us on LinkedIn? Please do so that we can continue to grow the community, even on those social media platforms. Thank you, as you do that. Okay, so what are we talking about today? Let's look at what we're saying. Don't forget, the topic is the changing landscape of work, right? Now, let's make this very light. I say the global workforce is evolving rapidly. So the first operative word for me there is global. Would you agree with me that workforce has become global? Let's even talk about that. What does that mean to you when I say global workforce? So anyone, and I may not be able to see your hand, so please just unmute and speak. When we say global, what do we mean? That global workforce, what does that mean to you? Hello? No
Well,
one wants to
for
talk?
me,
Yeah?
hi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, global has to do with regional countries. Yes, it's not domestic, only residing on one country, but it can be cross regional and involve multi countries, other countries.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ovonime. So what we are saying is that, so let's go back to when we were all back at home, when you were living in Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, wherever you were. Did you ever think of applying for jobs outside Nigeria? Answer me. Yes, no, anyone.
No,
Did it even cross your mind?
no,
But do you know that that's now a thing? As in, people in Nigeria are working for companies outside Nigeria, even in North America,
yes.
and they are doing it right from their bedroom in Nigeria. Would you have thought about that 10 years ago? That's what we mean by global workforce. So that's something that has even been before the pandemic. But what we are even saying now is that even that global workforce is now evolving rapidly. It's even changing, it's evolving. But the first thing is that now, since ab initio, we all have the freedom to work from virtually anywhere for somebody anywhere. Think about that for a minute. And like I said, I was pleasantly surprised when I saw an advert from Upwork, which is a freelance website. And one of their promotional videos was actually showcasing a lady, a mom, who lives in Nigeria but works for a company that is based in the US. And I saw that the lady that was being showcased was someone we had worked together way back in the past. And I'm like, I know this lady. And she was talking about how she works for a company based in the US. So she literally works all night. And she was saying it really fits into her work life, her family life routine, because she's always there for her kids. She never has to miss any of the kids' school programs, activities, and all of that. And she got the job on Upwork. And she's working for a US-based company. That's what I mean by the global workforce is evolving rapidly, right? Now, what are the key drivers to this change? Obviously, technology will play a very key part of it, right? There's no way you and I will be on this call right now without technology. Because I don't know where each and every one of you, except you really tell me, or we've spoken in the past and I know where you are dialing in from. You don't have to be living in the same city as I am, right? You can literally be on this call and be dialing in from wherever you are. And it's regardless of space, geography, right? You just dial in because the technology is there. Then there's globalization, just like we said, societal shifts. People are now, people now have a shift in how they want work to be. There's a whole global shift for that now. We're talking about remote work, we're talking about hybrid, we're talking about in-person. People have their own preferences. Some people would even tell you that they would never go and do any job that is not fully remote. Some people have even resolved to do that because they've just gotten used to it, right? The importance of adaptability and continuous learning for us. We need to adapt. I've heard why some people will say that, oh, I love remote work. Some people will say that they still miss the social interactions, that they can't work without being fully engaged or maybe collaborating in person. Some people are like that. And some people will tell you, you know what? I prefer to just work in the comfort of my home, do my job, heads down, get it done. And, I don't want somebody coming to my desk, standing behind me, overlooking my monitor. So we have to adapt. And that's where the world is going right now. Now, let's go back to that slide. Now, when you look at these bullet points, what comes to mind for you? How have you been adapting to these global trends? Anyone? Or how has it impacted you in recent time? If you're able to share. Hello? Okay, we'll keep going then. Now, key trends shaping the workforce. First and foremost, digital transformation. So we're now talking about things that is reshaping that landscape of work. What are the key drivers and the trends that we are seeing? One is digital transformation. Automation has now become something that is gradually creeping in. Before now, the definition of automation was when you say you are a developer. Oh, it's only developers that can make things, work faster, that can make some kind of magic. But now, the landscape has changed. It's not only developers that can make things look like, oh, this is magic. There are a lot of automation now that requires little or no code. And their automation. The question is, what are you doing about that in your own area of work? Are you looking for opportunities and are you embracing them in your area of work? especially for those of us who are already in technology and may not necessarily be in software development or programming. There are now a lot of automation, even within the Microsoft Office suite. When you go into SharePoint, there are a lot of automation within SharePoint for workflows, like maybe the way you submit approvals at work or the way you raise tickets for maybe equipment at work. Some of those workflows are built on Microsoft SharePoint using the technology of little or no code. They call it low code or no code. Automation is gradually creeping in, and you don't necessarily have to be a software developer to do automation. Then the almighty AI, which is the big elephant in the room, right? Artificial intelligence. We can't even talk enough about it. I'm hoping that one of these days we'll be able to delve into artificial intelligence a bit more deliberately, because it's a whole beast in itself. And then we talked about the concept of remote work. Even right now, most people in Nigeria, I still had someone, a friend was telling me, a senior friend was telling me that it's only in Europe, North America, that you guys talk about the ability to work 24/7. That is not really a thing back home in Nigeria. That people just still, look at the standard 8 to 5, 9 to 5, or okay, you finish at 6, you get home at 10. But you and I know, those of us that are in the West, the concept of work is 24/7. You can't just say, oh, because it's nighttime, I'm going to meet John at home. No, it doesn't work that way. If John is working shifts and his shift starts at 10 p.m., he finishes 6 a.m. in the morning, that's the concept of globalization and the way work is. Technology is reshaping every industry from healthcare all the way to finance, right? AI is replacing manual tasks. Even e-commerce, the way we are doing business today is not the way it used to be. Things like Shopify, 15, 20 years ago, no one would have been talking about things like Amazon, right? The way you're able to do business right now in the comfort of your house, even way back home, even in Africa, right? There's so many e-commerce platforms now that are taking over the traditional way of buying and selling, or the traditional way of retailing. These are all ways in which the landscape of work is transforming. 2, we talked about globalization. Yeah, another big word. What does this mean? Work has now become, we used to say that the world is a global village. But honestly, that global village is just becoming smaller and smaller. As in, it's like the distance between us is now becoming virtually irrelevant. It doesn't really matter. You can be anywhere, working anywhere, or working for somebody anywhere. As long as, the ethics of the work, the security, and whatever needs to be in place are in place, everybody can work, anybody can work from anywhere. People literally go on vacation, and as long as the organization is aware, if it has to be a working vacation, you just need to ensure that the IT department is aware, so that if there's anything like IP restrictions to log into your computer, your work network, as long as that restriction, you've been exempted, then you can literally work from wherever you are. Except there are strict policies for some organizations that will not allow you working outside of the country where that organization is located. There are organizations that have those kind of restrictions for security purposes. But globalization has since become the norm. People are working across different time zones. You hear people talk about their work, and they are saying that, my BA is in India, my developer is in Singapore, my Scrum Master is in Hungary. Everybody is all over the place. Are you able to work in that kind of geographically dispersed team? That's the question. The technology that follows it, are you comfortable working with those technologies? Those are the questions that we need to be asking ourselves, because that is the way the landscape of work is changing. Then shift in workforce expectations. Before now, do your job and go. It's way more than that, especially with the pandemic. The concept of well-being has now become, something to not just be talked about, but something to actually be practiced. Mental health and well-being is now on the forefront. Organizations need now to have programs that would ensure that the mental health and the well-being of their workforce is first in line. So there's shift in expectation, both from the employer and from the employee. Focus on purpose and flexibility. So again, a lot of people will say when they want to get a job right now that they are negotiating time, not just money. I'll repeat that. That they are negotiating time, not just money. What does negotiating time mean? The ability to be flexible with the time that you work. For example, let's say you are working for a US company who is in the Eastern time zone, but someone like me who is in the Mountain time zone, that means I'm 2 hours behind. So if I'm going to be working for a US based company in Eastern time, when it's 8 a.m. over there, it's 6 a.m. my time. Now, so if there's a scrum meeting at 8 a.m., that's 6 a.m. my time. The question then is, do I really want to be in a scrum meeting at 6 a.m. my time? The answer is yes or no. There's no right or wrong. But I can debate and say, you know what, in order for me to be in my right frame of mind when I'm attending that Scrum team meeting, can we push it out to 10 a.m. Eastern so that will be 8 a.m. my time? And by then, my brain is in a very good place that I can contribute valuable to that meeting. That's when you are negotiating time. I once had a colleague that used to work from New Brunswick. And if you know New Brunswick is in a time zone that's about 1 hour ahead of Eastern. So it was 3 hours ahead of me. So when I'm at 2 p.m. my time, she's at 5 p.m. her time, and she's about closing from work. And what that meant was that we were not collaborating very well, not effectively. So at some point I had to tell her, I said, you know what? What's going to happen is that I'm going to get to continue working, right, till about 4, 5 p.m. my time. And I will make sure that whatever I've not done, I'm going to send you an email with a list of them so that by the time you come in the next morning, because you are 3 hours ahead of me, by the time I'm waking up at 8 a.m., you've already worked for 3 hours, right? So I now said I would have to write a note to you to say these are the tasks you should be working on. Because if I don't do that, then you could literally be sitting down 3 hours just numbing your fingers until I come online at 8 a.m., which will be 11 a.m. her time. She's about lunchtime. And once we were able to do that, once she's also leaving at 2, my own time, 2 p.m., she would also leave a note of the things that are left. And I have another 3 hours to get to them. And we kept on working like that. That's even somebody in the same country. Now imagine, like when I was in Europe and I had direct reports who were working from Pune in India. We only had about 4.5 hours of overlap times where we could actually collaborate together at work. So we had to be very intentional about handovers, about knowledge transfers, about what needs to be done. Communication had to be very, very clear and critical, or else we won't get our jobs done. Right? So workforce expectation is also changing. And then the gig economy. What do we mean by this? The gig economy, just like gig, we all want side gigs. The landscape of work has also changed in such a way that you don't even need to have a formal work anymore. There's opportunity for side gig. There are websites. I put a couple of those websites in the WhatsApp group during the week where you can actually register on a portal as a freelance worker. Freelance means you are available for work based on the skill set that you have. And you can be contracted from that website by anyone who needs the skills or the services that you have to offer. And this is something that some people even now do it full time. That's where they work. They register on that portal. Let's say you are somebody that is good with business analysis, activities, task, or testing, graphic artists, whatever it is. You register in there, you set a profile for yourself, you list out the offerings that you are able to do, the expertise that you have, software development, what have you, Scrum, whatever. It's like another marketplace in itself. And not just individuals come there to look for resources, even organizations come there as well to look for resources. So if they don't need to hire somebody, and start paying that person's salary for the next 1 year, they go to one of these free sites. There's Fiverr, there's Upwork, there are quite a bunch of them. And then they just hire somebody from there to do their work. It can be just a small initiative that will not last maybe more than 4 to 6 weeks. They do it, they pay the person, and they are gone. So even for the organizations, it's very much cost savings. So it works for everyone. And for you, even when you have your normal day job, nothing stops you actually from being on those websites and actually doing it as a side gig, even if it's something you just do on the weekend to get extra money. So that is how the landscape of work is changing. Any thoughts on this particular slide from anyone? Any comments? I want to hear from you. Hello? I hope people are hearing me. No one is talking. Oh. Yes, we are. Washali, at least thank you for responding, right? But I want to hear from you. I want to hear from anyone if this is making sense. Olu, I see you. It's good to have you here. Okay. How
Good afternoon, Mr. Vice.
yeah, how are you? How is the
I'm good.
family?
Fine,
Good.
thank you.
Okay.
Well, I just wanted to say that when it comes to that gig economy one, of course, it's easier for people that work remotely most of the times, right? So
Ah,
I'm going that way.
well,
Yes.
you're
So
going that way, but I can still hold you accountable, right? It's easier, yes, but it's not impossible. It depends what you're looking for, depends what you want to do. Because again, you only take work that you can do. It's not a regular, like you have to report for duty 8 a.m. every day. You take work and you do it. So there will be terms of engagement, right? And that's why it's freelance. You put up your services, you have your own terms and conditions when you can do the work. I mean, okay, so let me give you this example. And this is regular girl. I know her. Some of us may even know her. While she was doing training, looking for work, she was able to take on this kind of a freelance work that was actually paying her $50 an hour. Think about that for a minute. She was working for a lawyer and helping that lawyer to do research. That's what she was doing. And it was freelance, completely freelance. She had to stop when she now started doing a full-time job. So, like you said, yes, it's easier. But again, but if in this case for her, it was like she was working, I think like 4 hours a day. So she was putting in like 20 hours a week, but she was earning $50 an hour for doing that work. So when she now got work, she just couldn't continue because, like you said, she needed to be doing that work sometime during the day on a weekday. So that's why she had to stop. When she told me, I was like, wow, that's not a bad side gig, right? So, but if you can
not bad
find
at
something
all.
like that, yeah, if you can find something like that and may fit into your evening/weekend schedule, then why not? Right? But we're just saying that that is the way the landscape of work is changing. That's what we are saying here, right? That we need to be aware of these things, that they are there, and that we can take advantage of them. Now, what's the impact of technology on work? Again, automation. Automation is fast replacing repetitive tasks, but creating new roles. I like the latter part of that sentence. A lot of people say, oh, AI is going to replace me, replace people, replace human, and all that stuff. No, AI is going to create new roles. That's the way I see it. And I agree with someone who is an AI enthusiast that said that one of the ways the landscape of work is going to change from the way we know it is not necessarily that, oh, AI is going to replace you. No, it is the people that can leverage AI in the workplace that will replace those that can't. Let me repeat that. Is AI has nothing to do with replacing your job. No. But it is the people that can leverage the power of AI that will replace those that can't. So let's talk about that. What does that even mean for you? This is where you have to respond if you truly understood what I said. AI is not the enemy, but you can be your own enemy if you don't embrace AI. The only thing most of us do with AI is when you want to look for work, you go to ChatGPT to help you write your resume. It goes beyond that. We are talking about utilizing AI in the workplace to make you operationally more efficient, to make you more productive, to make you do more in less the time. Yes, please, Precious.
Thank you, Mr. Mike.
Thank you.
How you doing? Okay, so regarding what you just said, I think I read somewhere, whether I was listening to um a talk or something regarding this AI about it not being an enemy or anything. I think what's gonna happen in future, or that is probably already happening, is that we're going to be having rules for AI specialists, all these different AI tools. And just like what you said about what you're doing with AI and how you're leveraging it, I think there's going to be a time that they're going to now be creating rules for AI specialists, all these different tools, how you're going to now be using it in the workplace to improve your process and help you. So basically, not you using it personally now, but being a specialist and having like a level of expertise on all these AI tools or different AI packages and how you can leverage it at work. So I guess you're right about you saying how are we using it and what are you doing with it. So there's going to be a time. It's not going to replace us, like you said, but your expertise on it and how you can use it at work.
I
So
appreciate
that's
that.
like
Thank you. That's,
that's
yeah, you're on the money on that one.
yeah.
And it's really interesting the amount of AI tools that is out there. As in, it's mind blowing, because I'm personally investing myself into it. Again, I'm always a technology enthusiast, right? And now I'm really an AI enthusiast. That, I want to see what's out there. I want to see how can I better my skill, because now it's not just what you know, but how can you use what you know to derive the most value. It's all about value in the workplace. And like I said, as in, okay, let's do this. I used to work in an organization back home where, even though I was in the IT department, the CEO of the organization was like, he didn't even want us to have internet access. That's even in the IT department. He said it would be distracting us from our work. Of course, the servers and all of that will have internet access. That was how archaic that model was. So internet was more like, how do I put it? Like a luxury in the organization at the time. We only had one computer that people would have to actually literally sign up to use that computer to be able to log into the internet. And that used to have to be after working hours. That was how archaic that model was. Now, then the advent of Google, right? Search engines and all of that. Now, I keep telling people, I said, can you imagine 15, 20 years ago, or even when I was still in college, there was no Google. YouTube probably was just coming up at the time. We didn't have the luxury of, oh, okay, I was going to write an exam or I had whatever, and I was going to Google to search. You either go to the library to read the obsolete books that were there, the out-of-date books that were there, or just read your notes from the lecturer. But today, or let's say before today, everybody goes on Google. When you ask a question, somebody say, just go Google it. Now, before then, the internet was seen like, what's this magic thing? No, I'm not going to have anything to do with it. That's where we are now with AI. I keep telling people that in the nearest future, and when I'm saying that future is not far-fetched, that even job descriptions now will be asking you that ability to leverage AI tools is an asset. It will start featuring in JDs. Then the question then is that, which AI tools do you know how to use to increase your productivity at your work? So be you a business analyst, be you a project manager, be you a software tester, be you a software developer, be you a graphic artist, a designer, whatever you are, scrum master, whatever. The question would then be, what are the AI tools that you are able to use to do what? To increase productivity at your work. That will now become the differentiating factor when it boils down to the two of you at the pinnacle of that interview process, and they are looking for one person to go with. And they ask you the question, oh, Okay, Mike, you say you are a seasoned business analyst. Can you give me with examples two AI tools that are your go-to tools in carrying out your day-to-day activities? And then you are just looking, you don't have anything to say. That will be very, very sad at some point. So, but like I said, I'm hoping that one of these days in the nearest future, we'll be able to delve into, the AI world and see how we can actually even talk about some of these tools that are just very much at our fingertips to help increase productivity at work. Thank you for that contribution, Precious. So, growing demand for digital literacy. And when we say digital literacy, AI may be at the top of it, but even little things, we need to be able to operate digitally. Like I casually say to people that I honestly don't like putting pen to paper. And it's for me, it's just something that I I rarely write things down, as in writing. Now, don't get me wrong, writing things down, somebody talks about goal setting. They say a goal that is not written is not committed to. So when you say you have a goal to do this, that if you don't write it down, that the chances that you do it when you write it down increases by over 60%. I said, okay, that's fair. So I write certain things down. But one thing I realized is that when I write something down, I personally, and I'm not saying this is not something that, I'm not saying this is what happens globally, just for me. I rarely go back to read it, but I still write. Now, what I'm trying to say is that anytime I want to put my thoughts down, I just open Notepad, bare minimum. If I'm at work, most likely I'm going to open Microsoft OneNote and then I write it there. Now, for me, it's just easier for me to go in there because I can easily backspace, delete, do whatever as my thoughts are evolving, unlike when I'm writing, especially if you're writing with pencil, with biro. So that's just me. Now, but that's just putting it very mildly, right? But in terms of digital world, some people will tell you, I know how to use Zoom, I don't know how to use Microsoft Teams. And then you now get an interview call and they send you a Microsoft Teams link and then you freak out. How am I going to join this link? You better start learning now, right? And then specialized skills. It's one thing for you to know how to do your job, but the question then is, do you know how else to do your job apart from the way it's done where you work? I'll say that again. Do you know how else to do your job apart from the way it's done where you work? Does that make sense to anyone here? Can I get someone to comment on that? Do you know how else to do your job apart from the way it's done where you currently work? Hello?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't do that, if you don't know how else, that means you are jailed to that job. You can't work anywhere else. And that's not what you want to do, right? You can't just know one way to do your job. That's not good for you. You are not going to grow that way. You are not going to evolve, right? You need to know multiple ways to do your job, and especially those ways that are not the way it's currently done where you work. Seeing AI as a tool for enhanced decision making and productivity. I've been talking about this almost from the beginning of this talk. AI is not here to replace you. AI is for leverage. I'll give you an example. And this is just day-to-day example, the way me I think. So I had an interview prep coming up, and the candidate sent me the JD. The JD was in PDF, and I needed to copy the contents of the JD because I needed to massage it and utilize it. And I was like, I went in, I don't have a PDF writer, so I couldn't. So it was one of those PDF that you couldn't just highlight and copy. So I now just told myself, I said, do I have to type out this JD? And I said, but that would be ridiculous. I have to type out this JD for me to be able to use it. I now said, okay, that let me snipe the JD out of the PDF. So I used the sniping tool. And I said, let me go online. So I have a website. Not I have, I mean, there is a website, right, which I can give to you for free. And that website is called, tell me if you can see my screen. Are you seeing my screen, Google?
Yes.
Okay. And I said there's an AI for that. So there's this website. It's called there's an AI for that.com. It's a website. It's a website that's a collection of, I don't even know how many. There's an AI for that. And I said, what am I looking for? Image to text. And I said, give me an AI tool that can convert an image to text. Because now I have that PDF. I cut it off as an image, right? And I said, can you give it to me as a text? So image to text. Okay, free. I want something that is free. Okay, go to it. Here, to take me to the website, hopefully, use the tool. And I said, it's asking me, where is the image? And I put in the image and it gave me the text. And I said, wow. I mean, I don't want to take our time here now, but within 2 minutes, I got the text out of that image. And I'm like, so could you imagine if I had spent the next maybe 5-10 minutes having to type out that JD? Is that making sense? Right? So all I'm saying is that even your thought process, and even for me, I was kind of wowed. I was like, and I just asked myself, I said, are we saying that somebody else wouldn't have had the same problem? How was it solved? That's what I just said in my head. I didn't know what tool would be able to help me out. But I just felt like, no, it would be a shame if I have to type out that JD. I told myself that it would be a shame. And that was what I did. And it brought down, as in everything was crisp. And I was able to copy, throw it into ChatGPT, and the rest is history. Right? So that's what we are saying about AI. Now, virtual workspaces. Do you know that there are actually places that are available now that if you want to work remotely and you don't want to work from home, let's say in your home you have 4 or 5 kids, everybody is running around, and maybe you have a work from home mom, whatever, there are virtual workplaces that you can actually go rent a cubicle and you can work from there. Some of them even come with equipment. Some you go with your own equipment. Obviously, there's power, there's internet and all of that, and you can literally work from there. That is the way the landscape is changing these days. And then global collaboration, again, like we have said, there are, communication tools, be it Google Meet, be it Zoom, be it, Microsoft Teams, whatever you are using, WebEx, whatever. You need to be abreast of those kind of technologies, for you to be able to adapt within that global workforce evolution. That's what we are saying here. Now, the other day, just going back to AI, the other day I was asking someone, I said that, how do you use ChatGPT? Then I just tell you, okay, give me this, give me that, give me that. I said, do you understand the components of what makes a prompt in generative AI or predictive AI? I said, do you know what makes up a good prompt? What makes up a prompt? It's not just, for example, write me a resume. No, that's not what makes a good prompt. But again, today is not the day. And then I told the person how I write my prompts in ChatGPT. And the person said, bros. He said, so this is someone who is a fanatic of ChatGPT, because I'm in the same WhatsApp group the person is in. And they call him ChatGPT ambassador. In fact, literally, when he changed jobs when we went back to work from the pandemic, and in his organization, ChatGPT was blocked from the network. He wrote on the WhatsApp group to say that that these people don't want to let him work, that he can't work without ChatGPT. This is someone who is a data scientist or data analyst. And then someone else said, you can install it on your mobile now, that there's ChatGPT on mobile. He now said, I never knew. And she said to the person, thank you, thank God for telling me, blah, blah, blah. Now, a few days ago, ChatGPT was down. I think 2 days ago, ChatGPT was down for a couple of hours. And look at how the whole WhatsApp was buzzing, like ChatGPT is down, ChatGPT is down. Oh my God. And somebody was like, go and use Claude.ai. People are now throwing some other GPT, AI tool software into the group. And then, so because of his space, so I now actually went to him and now I called him, I sent him a message. I said, let's talk about this ChatGPT thing. That is like, you are a fan. And I'll say, how do you prompt ChatGPT? And he now told me what he does. Now he just say, okay, he wants, say for example, you have been tasked with this responsibility to do XYZ. And I said, just like that? He said, yes. Say, what do I do? And I told him what I do because I put in all the components that you need to put in. It starts with the role. So what role is that person playing? Are you an interviewer? Are you an interviewee? Are you a candidate? Are you a teacher? Are you a professor? Are you a whatever you are? Then you put in the context. What do you want to do? And what do you want to achieve? That's the context. And then you now say again that, sorry, just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. So I now told him what I do, and he was like, bros, that those are the things that he would really like to do, but he's not doing. And he said, there's nothing for him to teach me because I'm already doing way more than what he's doing. And I said, oh, okay. I said, I thought I wasn't doing enough. I said, because when I get responses from ChatGPT, and I can dare you here with all sense of respect and professionalism, if they give you and me the same task and they say we should go and use ChatGPT, I will get a better result than you would because of how I interact with ChatGPT. It is all in the prompting, right? And if you hear people say that it's all in the prompting, ChatGPT is still ChatGPT. It's an LLM. It has the same amount of information that it has, but the way you interact with it determines what you get out of it. It's garbage in, garbage out. ChatGPT is not just smart. You need to be smarter than ChatGPT to get the best out of ChatGPT, right? And that's what we are saying, that you need to learn the arts of interacting with technology in order to make you more productive at work. Is that making sense? Hello? No one is talking to me now.
Hi.
Okay. All right. Evolving skills landscape. In-demand skills. Now, let's talk about this. And I really need you folks to talk to me here. Let's talk about this. Would you agree with these lists and perhaps some other stuff that you think can be categorized as in-demand skills in this era and days where the landscape of work is changing? Data analytics. Data has always been a big deal, even 20 years ago. But it's just that it was never hyped. Because those that had data or were massaging data or were manipulating data or were utilizing data, transforming data, they were the people that we used to call geeks. So nobody even knew what they were doing. Until maybe in the last 5 years, again, thanks to COVID, data security, integrity became a big issue because everybody had to go cloud. And that's when data came back again. Data has always been there. Right? Just 1 sec, please. Okay, so that's data, right? AI literacy, we've talked about that from the beginning. Digital marketing. You need to see how you can use AI to actually do digital marketing in things that used to take like a week for traditional marketing to be done. You can literally do them digitally now using AI tools. We have things like text to image, text to video, and the other way around. Do you know that you can even literally write music now with AI tools without even writing one line of the lyric? All you need to do is to give a prompt to say, I want to write a music, give it the context, the subject, what you want that music to be all about. And there are AI tools that can literally produce music for you based on the prompt that you put in. And you can even make marketing materials. Again, like I said, you can conjure images together. You can write, sentences, and those sentences can be captured into a video. Some of these AI tools may not be free, so get that. Some of them are free, but in order for you to utilize, those very tangible features of those tools, you may have to pay. But these are things that are currently available and is possible. And then cloud computing just goes all the way, right? If any organization right now is not using applications that are built in the cloud, which means they are accessible from anywhere on the globe, as long as you have an internet connection, then that company is not even worth its salt. That's where you hear about things like infrastructure as a service, IaaS. You hear as platform as a service, PaaS. You hear as software as a service, SaaS. Most of the applications we are using now, most of us are conversant with the software as a service, like Microsoft Office 365. It's a software as a service. You don't need to install Microsoft Office on your computer to use it. Most applications we use now, your HR applications, be it Workday, be it ADP, your enterprise applications, SAP, Salesforce, Microsoft CRM, Oracle, they are all software as a service. During the pandemic, some of them were not already in the cloud. And that was what they needed to do. SAP had to rebrand their application, and they came up with the SAP Success Factors. That is the version that is on the cloud. So cloud computing, then you talk about, again, when it comes to storage is no longer an issue. You don't have to store anything on your local computer. You can store things in the cloud, even starting from simple things like your Gmail account. You have Google Storage for free and for paid. There's Google Cloud Platform. There's AWS. There's Azure. There's so many cloud computing infrastructure out there. So when you're even thinking about, okay, what are the kind of skills I should be looking out for? You need to look at skills that would give you future-proof careers. Hello, am I talking? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Right? And that's what I do every day. That's what I do every day. I look at the landscape and I ask myself, what are in-demand skills out there that I don't have? And that's how I choose the kind of certifications that I write. I don't write certifications because I'm looking for a job. No, I write certifications based on my gap analysis of what I don't know versus what I need to know. And that's why I don't need any employer to come and pay for my personal career development. No, I don't need any employer. That's my responsibility. So that when the opportunity comes, I am prepared. You know what they say, right? Preparation meets opportunity is the recipe for success. Soft skills. Now, because the evolving landscape is going more virtual than in person, soft skills has now become a prerequisite. A prerequisite. I worked with someone for about a year and a half. I never saw her face. Literally, never. And we talked almost every day for that 1.5 years. That was how closely we worked together. There was actually a day I was almost like begging her that, let me even see your face. And she said, no. That no. Even when we were on a meeting with senior leadership and everybody was asked to go on camera, she still didn't come on camera. She spent almost 2 decades in that role. So nobody could really literally tell her what to do anyways. And she was like a one-stop shop. She knew virtually every area of work within that domain. Now, I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing, but what that means is that you can't be cracking funny jokes that may not be funny to a lot of people when all you have is your voice. That can be very tricky, very, very tricky. So, adaptability, emotional intelligence, critical thinking. You need to be professional on those calls. If anything is going to be tricky, you better stay away from it. At times, to play safe, you write instead of speaking. You write. Because when you speak, what you say would be interpreted in the way the person that heard you decides or chooses to interpret it. Right? You can say, oh, that's not what I said. Oh, that's not what I meant. No. But that's what me I heard, and this is what I think. And then you now get into that war of words. So we have to be very careful. Soft skills is becoming very, very critical. So it's not enough to have the hard skills, even in the course of the interview. Soft skills, because of again, the changing landscape of work, soft skills has become very, very critical. Then you need to have a lifelong learning approach to your professional career. I see a lot of people put this in their resume. I'm a lifelong learner. And I'm like, okay, you're a lifelong learner. What new thing have you learned in the last 3 months? Can we throw that out here? Let's all be vulnerable. So I'm going to go back to the chat so that I can see who is on the call. What new thing have you learned in the last 3 months professionally? Tell me, raise up your hand and tell me before I call you. Hello? 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 Whether you are working or you are not working, what new thing have you learned in the last 3 months professionally? I hope I'm audible.
We hear you. We're just trying to think about the answer.
Thank you so much, Zele. This you bailed everybody out. People didn't even want to respond
I
that they are
hear
hearing
you.
me. Hey, now wow. Onome, ha. Onome, you're on this call.
Sam.
Hey, rain go follow.
Oh my goodness.
So, what new thing have you learned in the last 3 months professionally? Oh, yeah, answer me. Anybody.
Sorry, can you just ask the question again?
This is not an interview.
You said
What
what new
new,
thing?
yes, have you learned in the last 3 months professionally that will add to your professional prowess? What new thing have you learned in the last 3 months?
Okay, people are answering in the comments.
It's because they know that if they answer by mouth, I will ask them follow-up question. I learned more about data and its transformation. Okay. None for me professionally, as in certification. It's like, okay, you wrote, if you wrote a certification, that's fine as well. Yes. So what? Right? So that's what we are saying. There are too many things to learn these days. Too many. I'm even struggling with what should I pick? What? It's not a matter of should I do it? No, it is which one should I do? I wrote a Salesforce certification. That's fair. That's okay. You wrote a certification too. That's okay. Yeah, because you have to prepare to write the certification, right? So that counts. And that's what we all need to be doing. Right? Again, that's just, a personal challenge that don't wait until that opportunity comes. Because when the opportunity comes and you're not prepared, then you don't get the success. It has nothing to do with you. It's not about you. It's about the principles. If you don't follow the rudiments of the principles, then it's not going to work. I'm now learning how to create PDF forms. It's even on my JD. Okay, good for you. You're a lifelong learner. Okay, that's good. So call to action, right? We're almost at the end now. Call to action, right? Are you ready to future-proof your career? What does that even mean? How do you future-proof your career? By learning things that I would regard as are relevant in the marketplace in this day and age. And you know what I do every now and then? I look at job roles that I would want to do. You know that if I ask a question and say, "Oh, are you happy at your job?" Most likely you say, "I wish they could pay me more. I wish they could do this. I wish I could get another job. I wish I." Okay, fine. And now ask the question: that job that you really like, that you really want, bring out the JD of that job. Oh yeah, start doing your own skills that you have that is exemplified on that JD. Can you score 100% on all the skills in that JD? Most likely no, because that's why you don't have the job anyway. So I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. Now, what do you do with the skills that you don't have but are on those JD? Are you like John on the street that will just say, I don't even know what this is all about, Seth. They ask for too much. Well, this is for people's job. And how much are they even going to pay? Is that the way you respond? Or rather, you want to go and start figuring out how you can acquire that skill, and most likely for free. What most of us don't know is that before you go for a paid training, most likely there's a free one somewhere. More often than not, most of us do the paid one, including me, just because we are not disciplined enough to do the free one. More often than not, you can get something to learn almost for free somewhere online. And I'm not saying don't pay for training. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying that you can literally learn things for free more than you can ever imagine. And that's what I try to do. I just look at this JD and I'm like, what's that? Even when I'm doing interview prep for people and they're like, there's something in the JD, and I just ask, and they say, what's this? Michael, what's this? I'm like, I don't know. I said, but we can know in less than 30 seconds. We just Google it, right? And then we Google it. Oh, okay, this is what it means. Ah, okay, I didn't know that. Now I know. And that's why I tell people you can't go and answer a question in an interview and your response is, I don't know. And it's in the JD. If it's not in the JD, I will forgive you. But if it's in the JD and your response is, I don't know, if I were the interviewer, that's where the interview is going to end. Right? So that's my challenge to us, that be that true lifelong learner, not just putting it on your resume. Okay. Visit the MB Consult website. If you need to book a session with any of our mentors, that's very much available. And, there's this 90-day personalized mentorship and coaching package that we just threw in recently. And we now have pre-recorded interview prep videos, especially for people that are kind of new in the Canadian workplace. Like, you're at that point where maybe you just completed a training. Maybe, you're in that place where you're just looking to get into the marketplace. And, instead of you coming to me a day before your interview and say, oh, Mr. Michael, I need your help, why not subscribe to these interview prep videos? And that can begin to help you to put your mind, your mental aptitude in that framework where you literally begin to understand how to answer questions that will be asked of you in the interviews. It's just like you preparing for an exam. You don't prepare for the exam the day before the exam. No, you need to have a targeted approach, right, to do that. Okay, let me see. Where are we? So talking about that 90 days personalized mentorship and coaching, this is what you get. I mean, I don't have to read on screen, but this is what you get. It's more like, a full package that you're going to get for the 90 days. Now, one of the huge things I say is you have direct access to seasoned mentors and coaches, which is huge, right? And then what we want to do is to have like a dedicated group. And for now, we are saying we're just looking for 10 people that will be in that group, in that cohort, where we can all collaborate and you have direct access, again, like I said, to a coach. Right now, it's retailing at 500. The premium value is 750. But we agree that, what, if people are really serious about it, because I can speak for me, this is literally going to take my time, because it means that I'm going to be hand holding you by the way. literally providing that guidance, that that sense of direction on what you should be doing to achieve your own career goals. That's what we are saying. Now, if you want to secure your seats, right, because it's going to be starting January 1, send an email to info@mbconsult.ca. Registration closes next week. So again, it's not something that, oh, if I don't do it, I'm going to feel bad. No, I'm not going to feel bad. It just means more time for me, full stop. And that's okay. But if you want to be able to say, oh, I want to be able to have direct access to someone like me, other seasoned mentors and coaches, to kind of show you the way, 90 days, let's walk with you. What we are saying here is basically getting you to be doing what you should be doing, not just doing what you are doing, right? Because if what you are doing is giving you the right results, then you don't need this, and that's okay. And and just to be very, very casual here, I'm going to call on Blessing. And Blessing, sorry, I'm putting you on the spot here, and I just want to use this as an example. So Blessing reached out to me about 3-4 weeks ago, and he told me his career journey here in Canada, and he was like, I need to find work. I don't know my resume, blah blah blah. And I said, I don't know what your resume looks like, but I think your resume is not doing you justice. And I would let him tell his own story. So Blessing, tell your story so far. Again, I didn't tell him I was even going to call him, but I just felt like, let's make it very practical. So Blessing, if you don't mind, tell them what we've done within the last 2 weeks and where we are.
Good morning, everyone.
Good afternoon, Blessing.
Afternoon. Okay. I joined the community from the beginning, and I always tune in, always log in early. Then after the interview, the CV prep, the resume, there's a deal with the resume, something like that. Yeah. Then I realized that my resume was not good enough. So based on the parameters that was discussed here, and that was why I wasn't prior to this, I wasn't getting interview. I think if I'm not exaggerating, I've applied to over 1,000 jobs, no interview.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So then I reached out to Oga Mike. So long story short, he did the resume review, and I didn't even tell him this though. The first we did it on a Tuesday, so I did the necessary corrections on the Wednesday morning. That Wednesday I applied for about 3 jobs. I just said, okay, let me try this one out. I wasn't even done with all the necessary adjustment I needed to do. I just said, let me put out some applications. That evening, Wednesday evening, I got an invite for interview. So we did the interview and the next 2 days later, Friday. So they said they were going to get back to me, but they didn't. The day they wrote a letter that they were not going to continue with me, that day I got another interview. So we did that one the next day. So this few days later, they sent me for my second stage interview, which is probably going to be the last stage interview. So that's my journey so far, and I've started preparing for the interview that's coming up next week, Wednesday.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm Blessing, and I'm humbled because, like, some of the things you said now, I didn't even know about it, right? Because when you reached out to me to say that you have a second stage interview, I was like, okay. And I felt like, okay, let me even tease you. Which resume did you use? And you sent me the resume, and I'm like, okay, this looks like the resume we worked on, right? That you were supposed to finalize. And he told me, he said he has had two different interviews, with that interview calls with that resume. And no surprises, he called me again and said, can we have an interview prep for this interview he's going to have on Wednesday? Again, so you see, for me, I don't do this just, again, I tell people, I don't do it just for the money. Yeah, money is good, but I just believe that people can do better. People can get way better, and people can just better their lives. That's all. That's what brings me joy. And when I see these things happening, for me, it's just fulfillment, right? And that's what I'm trying to do here. That if you really want my time, then I'm just saying that for me to give you my time, then I'm just saying that, it's more valuable for you to pay for that time, but you're not paying the premium value. That I can assure you of. If I'm giving you access to me for 90 days at $500, we've not even scratched the surface, right? And I'm hoping what I'm going to do, maybe in the coming months, I'm going to be bringing people here. Let them come and tell you themselves. And I hope you will believe that I'm not bribing anybody to say anything. Let them come and tell you themselves, what we've been able to do together by God's grace. And I just feel like, okay, can we do this in a structured manner? And that's what we are doing by these 90 days, personalized mentorship and coaching, especially for people that feel like they are not thriving in the marketplace. We can look at what your situation, and collectively we can come up with a strategic roadmap and see to its execution, and hopefully we'll get our desired outcome. Okay, so as we close, again, if you are yet to follow us on our social media platforms, please do. I would really appreciate if you do share the links, and hopefully we continue to grow as a community. That is all from me. I don't know if there are any final comments from anyone as we begin to progress into the Yuletide season. So we'll be meeting again next week, Saturday. And after next week, Saturday, we'll take a break for about 2 weeks. So any final thoughts from anyone? I see a lot of my friends here. Zele, Onome, Olu.
Just say thank you for your time.
Wow, thank you for your time too. I know your Saturdays are usually busy. Onome.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Mike, for your time and for
Thank
making this at least affordable. I know your time is worth more than this, but
Okay.
thank you so much, because I know what some other people are charging for this very service. So
I'm glad you said so. So you know what? So currently, on one platform, and I don't want to go into details. On one platform, I charge $50, 50 USD an hour, and people book me. Now on this platform, I'm charging 75 card plus 5% GST, which is about under 80 card. Now I know of folks that literally charge minimum 100 card. I know someone that charges 150 card an hour. And without me bragging, I don't think they give more value than I would give. Let's even say I don't give more, but I don't think they give more than what I give. But for me, it's all about ensuring that people, are able to get to wherever they want to get to. And that's just my prayer. I have two people. I was just saying it at the beginning of the call before most of you joined. Two of my mentees interviewed for a final stage with a VP of technology of a non-profit organization. Both of them, I know them. They are both my mentees. They interviewed for the final stage. And I just said, God's will be done. They're hopefully going to get the response next week. I told them, I said, I don't think a VP will be meeting with more than 3 people at the final stage. So if I know 2 of them, I think most likely God would make it one of these 2 people, right? For me, it's a win-win. And I just do it, right? So all I'm saying is let's work together and let's win together. Thank you very much, everyone. Garfield.